Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. It is so good to see you here on the morning grind. It is World Building Wednesday, so we're going to be working with Rabivania, and we're really moving along with it because actually, as far as the actual text of the lore and stuff like that, I have finished that document. I still need rules, but I have finished that document, so we are moving on. We're going to be talking about it. So it is good to see everybody. I did get a late start this morning because I all of a sudden realized I had stayed up really late yesterday after the Crafter's Corner last night, which was so much fun. It was a great conversation with everybody. It was really great. It was a fantastic show. But then I started painting some more and then doing some other things. Oh, I guess I can show them off right here because I got, actually what I can do is I've got the new document camera. Let me see if I can, I was painting these grates. So I made more progress. Let's see right here. Well, there we go. Check that out. I think that looks pretty good. So I wasn't able. I had to use the real metallic paint because I don't have metallic speed paint yet. But I think those. I think those came out really well. So I was working on some other things last night, and then all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, which is not. I don't like to stay up that late. But it was really great. So I got a late start this morning, so haven't been doing work this morning. But hopefully you've had a good morning. Hello, the Last Phoenix. Hello, Toadstool Hollow and Vision. Good morning, Jay and Stray. Welcome, Draco. Yeah, please do hit the like button. I think that does let more people know about the stream and things like that. So please do hit the like button if you are here. Would really help out. Good morning, Mike. Seth says, good morning. Just got done watching the Metallica new video and being upset that I don't have the cash for the Shadow Dark tabletop RPG Kickstarter. I need to look at that one more. And I don't know the Metallica music video. August says, sorry. August says, sorry, I missed the Crafters Corner last night, but rewatched it when I came home late last night. It was a great topic. Yes. So I wanted to put, actually, I'm going to put that out on the Discord server again, that the other people might be interested in watching that one as well. We talked about a lot of different things last night, including subjects like depression and mental health and being productive, and it was just a fantastic conversation. Jamie, of course, I was listening to the conversation that I had with Jamie Stegmeyer, who runs Stonemeyer Games, and the conversation that I had with him was fantastic and exceptional. He talks about crowdfunding and how successful he was and the techniques that he used. Although one of his major admissions to me, which I thought was so important, is that he didn't think that he could use the same techniques that he had used to obviously become so successful with Stonemeyer Games again, that he couldn't replicate that kind of success again. So if you are interested in, if you want something else to watch and you're interested in tabletop gaming, and I highly recommend you watch last night's Crafters Corner. Highly recommend. It was a fantastic conversation with everybody. The Crafters Corners have become so much fun when they're interactive like that, and the other people are chiming in, and it becomes a dialogue. It was really fantastic. So I highly recommend you watch that one. Hey, BGD. Poor Steve King. Yeah, poor Steve. Zero Theory, Tomocrat. Hello, everybody. Michael of St. Joseph says, big respect for your depression conversation last night. Very important. Yes, it is very important. Very important to at least occasionally talk about things like that, because might help somebody else. Jay, hey, August. Okay, so everybody here, man, lots of stuff going on. Okay. No, there are birds chirping. I was looking at that. So you're not going mad. I think there are birds living in my attic. I was thinking about that before I went live. I was like, I think there is a family of birds that Mike has nested or something up here in my attic above my office. So you're not going crazy. All right. So let's go over here to the morning messages, and then let's dive in. The Morning Grind is also brought to you by the Cool Name RPG. Cool Name is being built from the ground up and doesn't rely on 5e mechanics. Support its development now on Kickstarter. The Morning Grind is also brought to you by World Anvil. Check out the World Anvil website to learn more about everything that it can do for you and your world building and your games, and also be sure to use the code MORNINGGRIND to get 40% off any annual World Anvil subscription. I knew World Anvil was great for game masters and for writers who are developing their worlds and want a beautiful site to display and manage all of that information. But what I didn't know was that World Anvil also offers extensive tools for players, including character sheets, journals, inventory management, and spell books, basically all the digital tools a player who is looking to immerse themselves in their character would need. We're going to be using World Anvil here on The Morning Grind to build out the worlds of Rabivania and Theophany, so we'll get to see it in action here as we go on the show. All right, that's it for the messages. Let's get to the main topic. All right, and you know what? Today is March 1st. That means we are already 2 months done with 23. Are we where we want to be? I'm not quite. I still feel like I'm behind. I've got today there are a couple of things that just I've got to make sure that I do, because I'm like, if I 2 huge rocks that I really have to move this afternoon. Everything else can't work on storytelling and stuff like that. I've got big rocks to move. So hopefully we can evaluate where we are with the month. I need to remake morning grind video. Excuse me. I need to remake the morning message videos for March. That has snuck back up on me. Okay, so we are working on the Tales of Rabivania today. Let's see. And I want to see, where are we? Let's bring up the world primer. So this is the world primer right here. Yeah, okay, there we go. I was trying to remember exactly where we were last time. And I think we were talking about religions. And it came up on Mirism. So we may have done Mirism. Did we cover Druidism, Witchcraft, and Mirism last time on the show? I think that's what we did. I did find out that there is not a problem with religion, the religion article type in World Anvil, because last time I was live, last Wednesday, I thought that there was a problem because, oh yeah, so we had just done Mirism. I thought there was a problem because when I was putting in the religion, I went to religion and it brought up the organization article type on World Anvil. We'll look at that when we put some new into World Anvil. But then I got clarification on that on their Discord server. I just put in, I was like looking for, is there like a place for a bug report or something like that? Because when I was trying to put in religion, it was coming up organization. And it actually said that was not an error at all. That the religion article type, or the religion article, uses the organization article type. So that's not an error. So if you're looking at that, that is actually right. So that means that we had built out generic articles for the 3 religions that we're covering in Rabivania. And so I need to go and delete those articles and then move them actually over to the organization type. So anyway, now we know. Hey, Robert, good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, you've missed a lot of stuff. We've been busy, but it's good to see you. Fantastic. Fantastic to have you here. Okay. So let's go over here. So we had just been talking about religion. Now I've got slots in here where I can put stuff in for their magic systems, because I don't have rules yet. I started writing rules, but I don't have that yet. But we're saving this slot to actually put in the rules for magic for different systems that we're going to make. This is the world primer. You can see that it actually is finished at this point. So I got the total target over here for word count, because this is supposed to have 10,000 words of non-rules stuff in it. 10,000 rules, 10,000 words about the history and lore. So I allocated all of those. If you've been with us, we put out the entire structure of this document, figured out exactly what we wanted to have in it, and then said, okay, we got to do this in 10,000 words. So not only do we have the structure, but we allocated words to that. And you can see all these green bars over here indicate that all of these sections are actually complete. I finished the bestiary. I was working on squirrels. So squirrels got done. Snakes and weasels. So they're all done. Now we just need rules. So that is a major mile marker in getting this first book done, or the process to getting this first book done. Okay, so let's go over here to knights and nobility. So this is what we're going to be working on this time. So we did religion. We need something about the political structure of Rabivania. Chapter 3. So chapter 3 is going to be knights and nobles. The foundation of Rabivanian military and political strength is in its feudal organization. Rabivanian nobles hold a fief or grant of land from the king in return for maintaining a certain number of knights in arms ready to serve in the royal army when called. This chapter describes the institution of knighthood within the kingdom and the basic feudal relationship between the High King and his nobles. So, the High King. And see, this section may not actually require very many rules. It may be, good the way it is. The species template and the classes are really the big things that are going to require rules, as well as the bestiary, I suppose. Oh, BGD says Shadow Dark is an OSR RPG focused on classic dungeon delving inspired action by Kelsley Dion. She's published a lot of 5e content previously and runs in the same circles as the IC RPG creator Brandish Gilhelm. Oh, okay. Well, I may have to check that out. Okay, so the High King. The ultimate political authority in Rabivania is the High King. Unlike many other ranks and titles in Rabivania, the High Kingship is not hereditary. Instead, the High Kings are only declared when Rabivania confronts a crisis, often military in nature, which warrants political unification at the highest level. Only the Magus of the Mist has the authority to declare that the situation in Rabivania requires the coronation of a High King. Once the Magus has made such a determination, she charges the damsels of the Blood Royal to travel the realm and find a virtuous rabbit who possesses the characteristics the kingdom needs the High King to have, given the current situation. Most of the time, though not always, the military nature of the crisis means the High Kings are renowned for their military leadership and even personal prowess in battle. This means the High King. I think this should be singular. Helps me to read it out loud. High King is renowned. The military, much of the time, though not always, the military nature of the crisis means the High King is renowned for his military leadership and even personal prowess in battle. Okay, I like that sentence better. Once the candidate has been identified, the damsels bring him or her, for there have been a small number of High Queens in their own right, to the shore of Kalanmir, where, according to legend, Aiden was crowned High King of Rabivania. There, the Magus of the Mere conducts the coronation. The rabbit will ascend the throne at Cloven Call and hold the High Kingship until death. So that is our High Kingship in Rabivania. Now, we go on to the nobility. The nobility in Rabivania. The Rabivanian nobility is the bridge between the seat of royal authority and the Rabivanian warriors, especially the knights and the populace. The Rabivanian nobility is complex, with barons, archbarons, dukes, earls, and marcher lords, but the foundation of the nobility is the barons, the king's direct vassals. In exchange for a fief, a noble has an obligation to uphold the king's laws within his territory, maintain a certain number of knights for the royal army according to the size of the fief and the productivity of its lands, as well as keep its roads, bridges, castles, and fortifications in good repair. However, Rabivanian nobles enjoy a number of privileges as well, including the right to petition the king for redress of grievances, to be tried. This probably should say the right again. The right to be tried before a jury of their peers for greater crimes, the right to levy taxes, and the right of pit and gallows to enforce the king's laws. Importantly, Rabivania does not ennoble families, but only individuals, though spouses of nobles receive courtesy titles and placement within the Rabivanian order of precedence, commiserate with their spouse's noble rank. The family of a noble remains common under Rabivanian law. See, that's what I'm thinking here, and I want to go with that, Robert. Exactly, the Rabivanian, because they declare the High Kings in times of crisis, often military crisis. The king is expected to be a military leader and personally involved in war and battle. You can't be less brave and gallant than the knights surrounding you. But then also there's some competition there because the knights can't be any less gallant than the king. So, but that also has a problem. So when there's a crisis and the Magus of the Mist calls for a High King to be declared, the damsels go out and find the rabbit. The rabbit is coronated and then leads them into battle to resolve the crisis. But once you're declared High King, you are High King for life. So being rather warlike, then sometimes that leads to other problems. Once the crisis is resolved, you don't stop being High King. you're still the High King. So sometimes they might tend to start other wars after the crisis is done. So the Archbarons. And Archbarons have been something that has existed in Rabivania ever since the very beginning. Probably there's still things written from 7th grade that have to do with the Archbarons. So as the highest, sort of the highest ranking nobles in Rabivania, 4 of the most powerful nobles in the kingdom are the Archbarons. The Archbarons hold their fiefs directly from the king, but are higher in the Rabivanian order of precedence than other barons because, according to legend, the Archbaronies were established by the first High King, Aiden, as part of his reorganization of the kingdom and subsequent establishment of the kingdom's modern noble structure when he brought the Rabivanian civil wars to their end. The first Archbarons were King Aiden's most trusted knightly companions. He granted them great fiefs to administer in his name, with a special obligation to safeguard the throne of the High King during the times of its vacancy. During such times, called the High Interregnums, critical functions of the High Kingship devolve onto the Archbarons, so they can resolve disputes until such time as a new High King is found. When a new High King is to be coronated, the candidate selection by the Damsels of the Royal Blood, or the Blood Royal, confers the spiritual and moral authority, as well as popular appeal, for the rabbit to ascend to the Rabivanian kingship. However, should the damsel's selection be politically unpalatable, particularly to the more powerful nobles of the kingdom, it is the Archbaron's responsibility to enforce the damsel's will politically, and if necessary, with force of arms. The ceremony of archbaronial investiture includes sacred oaths to this effect. Jay says, hey, I've got a question about Rabivania. Do the rabbits have the average rabbit lifespan of about 9 years, or do they have extended lifespans for story reasons? That is a great question. That question has come up before, and it was all of a sudden something I had to deal with, because I think if it's just for the story, I was realizing that when I was just writing a story, how old they are and what their lifespan is doesn't necessarily come up. But it came up instantly when I was working on this world primer and was starting to put out like a timeline of their kings. I was like, wait a minute, how long do these rabbit kings, actually live? Do you actually have a shorter lifespan? So we've talked about that before, and it seems like the easiest thing to do is just to ignore that and ignore the shorter lifespan and just say they have something like comparable human lifespan. That seems, from the ease of the world building perspective, to just handle that. Some things, you just, like the lack of thumbs, the age of the rabbits, I think that's something that we just have to kind of gloss over, because especially though I guess it does come up across stories, because the section of the story that I'm writing right now, which actually I was talking to Brianna yesterday morning for the first time, I actually started writing words to the script of the first Rabivania full story. And this is very much a story about growing up and being a squire. So one of the main characters, you're going to follow the main character from becoming a squire through knighthood. And so over the course of several stories, yeah, like if you only live to be 9 years old or whatever, how much time then would a rabbit have to be a squire? Well, not much. But I want to be able to tell the story much more like, it's a human growing up as a squire, except for it's here in Rabivania. So longer lifespans. That just seems to be the easiest thing to do from the world building perspective. Seth says, I feel like I can't help without watching previous videos on this. I like what I see. Well, I'm glad you like what I said. Like what you see here. It is still in development, but we've made a lot of progress here, and I'm very proud that I did get the lore written down here. So actually, what we're doing Stray also posted a link to the Black Cipher. The Black Cipher I just put up as a YouTube channel to be another one of our worlds, and that's definitely a playground world. That's a world of paranormal sci-fi horror, and I posted 6 shorts to that YouTube channel. So please do check out that YouTube channel and subscribe over there. So there looks like there are going to be 4 worlds that we're working on, because the problem is I've got a very defined vision for what this world is supposed to be. So in order, I want to make sure that that actually manifests in the art and things like that. And I think that now with the technology, I'm about to be able to do that, like, very soon. But we can take some of our techniques, and then if we don't have in a world that I don't have such a defined this has got to be, the way it's got to be, this is exactly the way it's got to look. If I'm more flexible on that, we can experiment with different techniques, like for art and animation and things like that. And so the Black Cipher is where that's going. So it looks like, hey, I hate that actually in some way I'm like, hey, you know what I need to do? I need to create another world. But it looks like there are going to be 3 that we are working with. Excuse me, there are going to be 4 worlds that we're building here. And I've started with the Tales of Rabivania. The second one is Theophany, and Theophany tells the story of the fall of Lucifer. And I'm extremely excited to tell that story. Rabivania has been with me since about 7th grade. I believe 7th grade is when it started. Theophany has been with me since 10th grade. So these things are finally getting out. And I'm excited also to pivot to Theophany, because Theophany is going to have its own channel. And I've already got some material that can go out for there. It just needs art. I'm extremely excited about it. And then Unspeakable Cults, that's going to be Cthulhu, fantasy Cthulhu horror. And then we'll play and have some fun with sci-fi paranormal stuff on the Black Cipher. Oh, yep. Discord, please do come to the Discord. Seth says, so since I'm new to this, is a story or an RPG? What are you creating? What we're looking at right now, this document specifically, is a world primer for an RPG. So this is world building for the purposes of specifically, in this case, an RPG. But I hope to have other games as well. But I also do want to have stories. So I started off, because I want to write novels in this world. I started off last year writing a lot of the mythology stories about the mythology of this world that I would have thought that about now I would be bringing out on YouTube. But I sent it off to somebody in, last August, who I really respect and trust, who is out in Hollywood. And he basically told me that that story was a no-go. It needs to be basically completely rewritten. And he said that story is not the story that I needed to tell anyway. It's not what I needed if I wanted to be able to pitch novels or movies. So I did all this work on a story or writing a book in this world on the mythology, Clovis. It's about the rabbit Clovis who brought the rabbits fire. But but I got that story bounced in its current form, so it was going to take basically a complete rewrite. And since it wasn't the story that I needed to tell anyway, for several months, September, October, November, December, January, and most of February, so for about 5 months, I was working on the complete development of a new story. The new story that's now in the main timeline and going to be the main story arc anyway. So, but all we did was work on the outline and the beat sheet for that story. And I got approval. I wasn't going to start writing until my mentor out in Hollywood sent me approval that my beat sheet and my outline was actually good. And he finally said a couple of weeks ago that, all right, you actually now have a professional and sellable story. Here it is. And I was extremely happy about that. So he actually said, don't write the novel first. Go ahead and write the screenplay first. So I've been writing the screenplay for the first story. So that means that the stories can take a while to get out to everybody out here on YouTube and stuff like that. So I'm sorry about that, but that's just the way it is. I will release the story when the story is ready. Jay says, so I have another question. Are there other species of rabbit, like from different parts of the realm or from other kingdoms? For instance, species like the snowshoe hare or the Flemish giant rabbit? I do want to have other species of rabbits. Yes. I haven't started to develop it yet in this new modern context. But there was a second country of rabbits in the older work that I had done. So it wasn't just Rabivania, but I haven't developed that yet. Now, but some of the things like the snowshoe hare, like an Arctic hare or something like that, they may be a different species within Rabivania. So I haven't worked on that quite yet. And this just being a world primer, I have just rabbit, because I'm trying to make this. If you haven't seen the purpose of this document is to make this. This is the fate booklet. But as far as a product goes, that's why I was restricting myself to 10,000 words, because what do I want to do? Oh, man, I want to write a world book that's like one of these giant tome-like world books, like what Lou has written and what Mark has written for like the world of, this is Thrones and Bones here, but when Mark did the world of Assaultus, I mean, what do I want to do? I want to write something like this for Rabivania. But trying to start small and say, all right, let's start with something that can actually be done. So that's why I'm just calling this the world primer. I said, let me write 10,000 words, and then I'll take another 2,500 words of rules, and then I'll put out a book, that's this kind of product right here. So because this is just the primer and getting started, I didn't go into different species of rabbits. I just said that here is rabbit, and then we'll have our different rules down here. Jay says you could do some cool stuff with different species and cultures. Yes. And there are different species. But also different species, because there are, I mean, like the raccoons. The raccoons have sort of become the main foe. The raccoons have become kind of the main foe of the rabbits in the story as it's developing now. Tomocrat asks, is Theophany Roman themed? It's heavily inspired by Greco-Roman mythology. So it's I guess you could say that it's Roman themed. It's not Roman, but it does present the angels often in a Greco-Roman mythological way. Jay says, like, instead of different fantasy races, you just have a bunch of different rabbit species. Clovis, right. So instead of fantasy races, but also I have different, like there are mice, the mice are out there. So like down here, we will get to these later, but as far as like the different in the bestiary, fox, mice, raccoon, rat, weasel, snake, and squirrel are all here. Clovis can bench 400 pounds. Okay, so continuing with our nobles, we just did Archbaron here. The baronage. A baron is any rabbit who holds a fief directly from the High King and thus his direct vassal. As such, the baronage is the foundation of the Rabivanian nobility. In oral address, barons are referred to as Your Excellency and thereafter as Lord or My Lord if the speaker is in fealty to him. Barons are often knights. When counting the number of knights a barony must keep in readiness, a knightly baron counts himself among that number and is expected to lead the baronial forces when at war. When a baron is also a knight, such as the case with Sir Howell, who holds the barony of Elmhearth, the baron is addressed as Baron Sir Howell or Sir Howell, the Baron of Elmhearth. The wife of a baron is addressed as Baroness and placed in the order of precedence with her husband, though legally she remains a commoner. Does who hold fiefs from the High King in their own right are also called baronesses, though it is less frequent that her husband receives baronial rank by the right of his wife. Instead, he is referred to by whatever titles he holds in his own right. Hey, Millmaster, good to see you. No problem. And then we have the Marcher Lords. So the Marcher Lords, and this is what I'm doing instead of having, because I love having the marches, the idea of the marches. There'll be a lot of conflict and things going on in the marches, but having a marquis or a marquess, because that's kind of a strange title because it's got the French influence. And I don't think people will know exactly how, like when people see a marquis, like how do you pronounce that anyway? Or is it, Marquis? People will say Marquis because it's kind of been imported from French into British nobility. But I found out before they had brought in the Marquis, they just had Marcher Lords. So I like the idea of having Marcher Lords. So that's what we've got here in Rabivania. The Marcher Lords. Marcher Lord is not a separate noble title, but rather a particular distinction applied to those barons whose fief is on the border of Rabivania. These fiefs called marches are particularly perilous to hold as they are vulnerable to border raids, enemy incursions, and outright invasions. The High King takes special care to ensure the barons of the marches are particularly capable and of stalwart character. Marcher lords are vested with much greater legal authority than barons holding fiefs in the interior of Rabivania and are authorized to operate with greater independence so they may respond to border crises. Marcher lords have the authority to wage war, establish markets, maintain a chancellery, and establish their own law, as opposed to only enforcing the laws of the king. Of great significance is a Marcher lord's authority to build castles, whereas in the interior of Rabivania, a specific writ of crenellation must be obtained from the king to authorize the construction of a castle. Marcher lords have the right of crenellation, which allows them to build castles within their domain as they deem necessary for its defense. So that gets us to Marcher lords. I was going to say, let's see, we got the Order of Chivalry next. We'll do that one, and then we'll put these in World Anvil. But I was going to say, with the world building and the approach that I'm taking now, one advantage of doing multiple worlds, because this has taken me, like I said, especially with trying to go through the stories that got rejected and things like that, and trying to get this right, because it's very important to get right. This is, in fact, building these worlds with these stories and these games inside of them, particularly Rabivania and Theophany, those two in particular. I've got a couple of very important stories that are important stories to me that need to be done in the Cthulhu mythos. So that's why I've got Unspeakable Cults as well. But also, like, an advantage to also having something like the Black Cipher is that I don't actually know which one of these is going to be most popular, like which one of these worlds will be most popular. I have no idea. So this was a difference in philosophy that David and I had when we were running Infinite Black together, because we spent a lot of time very much focused on working on Journey to the Tree of Sorrows, which was David's world, and David was very much for focusing, and it's just two different approaches. He was very much interested in focusing on just one thing at a time. And I know I probably seem a little bit scattered over here. I'm aware of that, but there is method to my madness here. And so whereas he was like, we got to just focus on Journey to the Tree of Sorrows, which was his Cthulhu world, and which I wrote books for. But that project was so complicated, it never came out. That's why I'm focused on a very much more doable and easier project in the beginning, because I could make one of these for all four of those worlds, right? And that's a much easier project to do, for instance. But also getting art out and creating something like, hey, that's why I was like, let's just start with shorts. Let's just start with shorts on YouTube for each one of these worlds. Like, can I do? That's why I was experimenting with my procedure for creating shorts, and I experimented with creating that for the Black Cipher. I said, hey, you know what? Why don't I do 30 shorts, maybe 50, maybe 100, some kind of defined number, 30 shorts, instead of trying to do whole, animations for extended 12-minute YouTube videos or something like that. I got these, let's say 3 or 4 worlds. What if I did 30 shorts and then put all those out on YouTube? Well, I'll see which one becomes more, which one is more interested. People are more interested in. I've got different ones that I want to do, and I want to do them, but maybe one of those takes off. Like, I have a feeling probably something like Theophany might be more popular on YouTube, talking about the fall of Satan and talking about the war between heaven and hell. That's done. That world is much more adult world. That one's on the level of like Game of Thrones as far as violence and sexuality and things like that. Obviously, Rabivania is a family-friendly world. I started with Rabivania because I had just come out of Journey to the Tree of Sorrows, which was a dark and dark world of horror. And so because I had written books in that world, I was like, now I need to do something lighter. So I started doing Rabivania, but it's just taken me longer in Rabivania. But if I start doing shorts and things like that to get material out, I can cycle between the worlds faster and see which ones people actually most captures people's imagination. So the having less focus is part of the strategy here. Robert says the Athenians would keep deposing their generals, downside of mob rule, high king for life, perhaps with short lifespans of rabbits. Seems like an elegant solution. I don't have baronets in here. I have a feeling this can come together one day. I just have to be able to keep going. I have to be able to endure long enough to keep this going, because I'm especially interested with the AI technology that I think a lot of this is going to allow me to finally do the kinds of things that I had always wanted to do. So, yes, I'm aware that to some people this all seems scattered, but I think it's going to come together. I think it's going to come together. The Order of Chivalry. Okay, Knighthood, the Order of Chivalry. This is the last one we'll do, then we'll put these in World Anvil. Knighthood, the Order of Chivalry. Knighthood is one of the most fundamental institutions in Rabivania. The Mages of the Mist dubbed the first 13 knights on the shores of Callan Mere and charged them with protecting the damsels as they searched for the rabbit who would become the High King. This means knighthood is older than the High Kingship itself, a fact the Knights of Rabivania take pride in and cite when they feel their autonomy being encroached upon. The High Kingship, they say, rests upon their shoulders. Knights are not nobles, though individual knights can be ennobled if they accept a baronial fief from the High King. Knights are expected to own and maintain certain war gear, so the knight can fulfill his role of a heavy cavalry rabbit in the Rabivanian army. A healthy fox of military quality. The Rabivanian knights ride foxes, if you haven't seen that yet. So they need to have a healthy fox of military quality, a lance, a hauberk, a helmet, and a sword. Such items are not inexpensive. Squires will often try to acquire the necessary gear over the years, but are also likely to receive much of their war gear as gifts when it is announced that they will be dubbed knights. Knights are expected to dedicate themselves to military matters. As such, they do not participate in commerce or market activity. Instead, a noble who needs to fulfill the body of knights he must provide to the king, according to his feudal obligation, will grant a portion of his domain, called a knight's fief, to a knight in exchange for his military service. A knight's fief is large enough to maintain himself in arms and support his borough hold. They don't have households in Rabivania. They got borough holds, of course. So his knightly borough hold, including his wife, children, and one or more squires to attend him. The fief includes workers, usually field mice, who attend the land in return for his protection. I love the 14th century, but I also like the 13th century. And I decided to go ahead and put Rabivania, for a long time, early Rabivania was more 14th century. But this, the story right now, Rabivania is more 13th century. Because I do love, of course, I like the colorful knights. When the knights are wearing their surcoats with all of their coats of arms on it. The Rabivanian College of Heraldry is actually more advanced than it probably was in the 13th century, because I like heraldry and I like the colors and things like that, especially if it were animated or something like that for the purposes of a children's show or something like that. Having very colorful knights to me is important, but also I want it to be at the time period when the knights are not, for or your fief, you're not sending money to the king. You are sending, in this case, rabbit power. You actually have to provide a certain number of knights. You have to provide personal military service. Jousting, I love jousting, like especially from the 1950s, Ivanhoe. And I like the period of time where jousting has like it's kind of a 13th. I mean, that's 13th century is broad, but you get to jousting as purely sport. Okay, and I'm not as interested in that. But then you've got times where the tournaments were just basically a private war that you went out and had. So you've got this time period where jousting has become a sport, and you're actually going to a tournament and you're doing that. But the tournament is still practice for war, because that's an important skill that is actually still in use in war. So that's the time period I'm trying to represent here. So this is all very much personal service based, personal military service based. However, before being enfeoffed, the newly dubbed knight. Before being enfeoffed, the newly dubbed knights tend to live a life of adventure in a period known as their errancy. A knight errant, often called a knight bachelor, as few at this stage of life are married, travel the kingdom and can be found at every tournament. The Old Forest is a particularly well-known site for adventure, and errant knights commonly make travels through it a rite of passage. They may also undertake dangerous quests outside the borders of the kingdom and are always eager to fight off whatever beasts might threaten a warren. Errant knights could expect hospitality throughout the realm, but will be expected to join armies assembled in an area for its defense. Errancy provides an opportunity for young knights to show off to the lords who are looking to recruit new knights to their banner, as well as allow the lords to evaluate them. The errant knights also defend the roadways as they travel, and it is common for them to attract a number of others going in the same direction who seek protection. Errant knights also frequently accompany the damsels of the blood royal on their quests and serve as their protectors. Hey, James. Good to see you. Good to see you. Zero Theory asks, what do you imagine an adventure in this world looking like? Well, I want you to be able to do several different types, but I am setting this up so that you can assemble actually, we just came up with this period of knight errancy right here. I'm expecting that there would be several different types of stories or types of adventures, RPG adventures, that probably center around knights errant who are going on some type of quest, particularly for one of the Blood Royal, Damsel of the Blood Royal. Now, the Damsel of the Blood Royal is one of the classes that I've got up here that we're going to write about. So I want to be able to assemble, a quasi D&D like party to go out questing, monster slaying, on some type of errand of the king. Of course, you could do whole wars being fought and things like that too. But I want you to be able to assemble a team about something like perhaps around like a damsel. So somebody could play one of the damsels. Somebody could play one of the druids, the witches, several different knights errant in a party to go out questing. I talked about up here in the introduction down here. Let's see. About the current political situation in Rabivania and what's going on. Because right now, meanwhile, outside of Rabivania's borders, a fearsome raccoon warlord, Ivar, is searching for a magical weapon of unsurpassed power, which would make him invincible, all while unifying the disparate barbaric raccoon tribes in a horde of such size that could easily sweep aside the defenses of any of the Rabivanian lords. So we do have the situation with the raccoons going on. Rabivania must unify against this threat, but the throne of the High King at Cloven Call is empty. With the Magus of the Mere, missing, the Magus of the Mere at the current time cannot be found. So with the Magus of the Mere missing, the damsels cannot be tasked to search for a new High King. Instead, the nobles of the Great Warrens petition the matriarchs to establish a new precedent. Their petition is for the matriarchs to declare one of their numbers High King, but it is not for the good of the realm they do this. They each jockey to ensure a member of their own borough holds should be chosen to satisfy their own thirst for power. So we are also dealing with internal corruption. If you want to do a more political-based game, not only are there external threats, there are the internal threats as well that Rabivania is dealing with. Like, where is the Magus of the Mist? That's supposed to be Magus of the Mist. Magus of the Mist. Rabivania needs new heroes, those who will heed the call to adventure and can balance the spirits of rock, root, and tree with the true meaning of the religion of the mother. They must unify the kingdom and not be afraid to do battle with brutal raccoon and wicked weasel. Remember our history, the spirit of Rabivania, Clovis, the mother, and all we are. Stay true, heed the call to arms, and remember, you must always be brave. So that's the kind of adventures that I'm thinking are going to be told here. Are there homes like Hobbit homes? What about castles? There are castles. They build castles. They do. So they live in warrens underground, but they also build structures on the surface as well. So they do live in houses. There will be houses and things like that on the surface, but most of the rabbits, then you go into the castle or whatever, but then you dig down and there's a warren where most of them live underground. Mike says for a children's show, we need a lot of bright colors. So I've got Adam Botsford helped me illustrate the elm hearth. Let's see here. Let me go over here and get this. Rabbit Crusades. Seth Chapman says, inquiry, can a knight be a high king? Yeah, most of the time. Like you would expect, because the king is expected, to be a military leader. I think it's mainly expected that the king would be knighted. So in fact, let me show you that. Let's see how long have we been going? Oh, we've got about 15 minutes left. So yeah, so I'll show you the barony of Elmhearth, because that is the one that is in Goodnight's Sword. So by the way, if you go over, let's look up Goodnight's Sword. So this is the YouTube channel for the Tales of Rabivania. There's not a lot there now. YouTube. So this is the Tales of Rabivania channel. So I'm going to put more stuff out there. But here is the link. And then if you haven't, in fact, let me just pull it up this way. But that's the Tales of Rabivania YouTube channel. Let me take this down. Let me present a video file. Thank you, Stray. So this right here is Goodnight's Sword. So this is the first book that is out. And I'm trying to get it going for print on demand. I'm trying to reformat it for print on demand. This is available as an audiobook on the Tales of Rabivania YouTube channel. And then it's also, if you want an ebook copy, it is you can get the ebook over on ravenkeep.net. So this is available right now. Obviously, Goodnight's Sword is a takeoff of Goodnight Moon, and it was the first thing that I have actually gotten out and published in the world of Rabivania right now. But this takes place in the Barony of Elmhearth.
Sword, written by E.H. Robinson, illustrated by Adam M.
If you know somebody who you're interested in trying to get into like a child who you are interested in be interested in fantasy and medieval things and like that, Goodnight's Sword might be the thing to show them.
Narrated by
that was my
Brianna
thinking.
DeSilva.
My thinking was that there were surely a lot of fellow medieval and fantasy geeks who would love to show their children Goodnight's Sword.
Part of the Tales of Rabivania.
So that right there is the main warren at Elmhearth. So they've got this giant tree right here that they are living beneath, this giant elm that they're living beneath, all of the roots and stuff down here. So their warren is under here. So this is actually a large warren, and they all kind of live in this rocky this outcropping here that they've tunneled under. And so warren is mainly underground, but they do have surface structures and this castle right here that you can see. And you can also see that where they're building out under they're building out, and they've got structures that have been built on the side of this cliff, and you can see this long structure on the side of the cliff. That's the Great Hall that you're about to get into. So this is the Great Hall. So you're underground here, and you can see all the roots and stuff, the root systems that are coming into the Great Hall. So this is the warren underneath the ground, but you can see over on the right that you've got windows, because that's looking out that cliff. So that's looking out upon that lake, out of that cliff. So they're actually kind of like hanging. So you go through that door on the left, and you go underground deeper into the warren. But here in the Great Hall, they've got it so that they've got light that's coming in off of that cliff. So you're underground here. And yes, that is a door. That giant door there would actually that would open up right into the cliff. I mean, just open up off the cliff. And we'll talk about why that's there later. But this is the Great Hall of the Barony of Elmhearth. So I think that Adam Watson did a fantastic job with the illustrations here.
Good night, Gord. Good night, guards who keep us all safe. Good night, Dagger. And the Iron Hauberk. Good night, Cheese. Good night, Keys. Good night, Elm. And good night, Helm. Good night, Squire. And good night, Liar. Good night, Shield. And good night to the lance only the gallant wield. Good night, Banner.
Maybe some of you haven't.
And good night, Jewel. Good night, Gruel. Good night, Knights. And good night to the old soldier who says time's been cruel. Good night, maiden fair, whose favor I bear. Good night, rabbits everywhere.
So that was talking about method to my madness. So that was the thing that we did after the Cultist season 2, because I wanted to experiment with animation and like what's a practical way to get something out for Rabivania, and how can that be done, and how can that practically be animated. So Adam Botsford was the illustrator. So we took all of the pages from the book that Adam had done, and then Brianna, who you've seen on this channel before, Brianna actually narrated. So that was Brianna who narrated it. But then she was mainly the one who worked with the animation there. And like, how do we get the light animation? Because I was like, we can't do full animation, but maybe we can do light animation in this style. So this project was the team's first attempt at trying to do some type of animation. But on the other hand, this was still extremely time consuming. This was extremely time consuming, and it was expensive because of all the art that Adam produced. And of course, it took Brianna a lot of time to animate. So if I want to have 400 Tales of Rabivania videos, this is a wonderful way to do it, but it's not a practical way to do it. It's not a practical way to create 400 videos. So I got to come up with something else. So experimenting, getting it done, and I'm very proud of that. But not practical if I'm trying to do like 400 videos. So that's why we're working on increasing our efficiency and getting the workflow down about what exactly is we're trying to create, because continuing like that is not not practical. Okay, so let's go over to World Anvil. But that does give you, I think, a pretty good picture of what Rabivania is like. You know, what is going on and what is it supposed to be like, or what would it look like? We did a great job with that. Particularly Adam and Brianna. What am I trying to do? Okay, so okay. Nope, take that down. Let's see. All right. So here we are back over here in World Anvil, and I'll come back in so you can see we've got Mirism as a generic article right here. I'm going to go in later. I've got a lot of cleaning up of this World Anvil to do. So I'll go in later and change over the 3 religions to the actual religion, which is an organization, rather than having a general article. That's probably better. Might as well keep it. If that's actually the way they're doing it, then we should do that as well. But now over here, whoop. Oh, hang on. I got to log in. Okay, so here I am. Let's put in, so we need some new articles here. And by the way, channel members are going to get access to this. I've got it set up. We talked about how to do that last time on the Tales of Rabivania World Building Wednesday, that there's a way to set it up so that you can just have information be private and then give out access codes. So if you're a channel member, you're going to get access to the World Anvil for all of the worlds that we do through World Anvil. I don't know if I'll do like Black Cipher World Anvil, or but definitely Rabivania and Theophany are going to have World Anvils. Okay, so let's go over to articles. So remember, we've got article by type articles over here. Okay, so title. We've got title right here. Sounds like the perfect thing for the High King. So rank title, High King. Type. This is the drop down list over here is incredible. Like different types of titles. Academic, honorific, academic qualification, civic leadership, civic honorific, civic political, civic professional, familial, informal, magical, honorific. I mean, I was like, oh my God. What is the so what is the High King? And I don't know how it makes you want to make sure that you don't get the right thing. You don't get the wrong thing. So royalty, I guess this is royalty, royalty non-hereditary, I guess would be a great way to go. Okay, that's what the High Kingship is not hereditary. So maybe that's it. So I'm going to take this information and I'm going to slide copy this over here. There's going to be more formatting to be done later. But here, we've got to change this to private, but I'm going to publish it, and I'm going to say it's not a work in progress, and then I'm going to say that the Knights of the Geekverse will get access to that. So it'll be private, but Knights of the Geekverse will have it. And then save. I haven't sent out the access codes yet because I've still got some cleaning up to do here. But then we can view or view this. High King. Okay. We've got our article. Okay. Now, for nobility, we need something on just the nobility of Rabivania, and then we need sub articles for the archbarons, the baronage, and the marcher lords. and getting the structure down, because you can see over here. Let's go to the. How do I get back to the home page? Last week, I worked quite a bit with trying to. Okay, so actually, some of these articles are already created, but I haven't loaded in. So that's so the nobility of Rabivania I should already have, because I want to make sure the structure is the same. That's from the book to the as close as can be from the book to the World Anvil page. So actually, if I go over to articles, I might have already created some list. High King, Mirism, okay, so Marcher Lord. Let me find nobility first. Okay, can I search nobility? The nobility of Rabivania. Okay, I got that as an organization. So the nobility of Rabivania. Whoa. Right here. And so, okay, saved. So that makes that easy. Having already pre-created these articles, I just hadn't loaded the data in. So then the Archbarons. The Archbarons, it surprises me that you don't hear about Archbarons more. As far as I know, that's not a rank that actually existed. But because I like angels, this is something that's come over from Theophany. Because I like angels, and we got archangels over there, and I just happen to like the word baron. I like archangels and I like barons, and so it's only natural for there to be archbarons. So in Rabivania, there are archbarons. There were only barons and archbarons in Rabivania originally, but I am adding in dukes. Save changes. The baronage. Baronial rank. Save changes. The Marcher Lords. Marcher. Yeah, okay, so save. And now we do need to put in our information on knights, because we talked about knights today as well. Knighthood and the Order of Chivalry. Let's see what I've got over here. But that's different from Knight, the profession. We've got Knights, the Order of Chivalry, the organization, and then Knight as a profession, which is where our game stats are going to go. So here is Knights, the Order of Chivalry. Doesn't seem very long. Seems longer over here. Okay, I guess that's all. I guess that's it. Okay, so now we can also see, so that should be now the page I've still got to restructure. Like I said, this front page still has too much information on it. But now we should have, this is out of order, but the information should be loaded in. Yep, Martial Lord is loaded in. It's going to be a nice page when it's done. And we can also see that we are also filling out information inside World Anvil. We are progressing toward our goals over there. When I go over here to the dashboard, we can see that, okay, so there is now 5,691 words in Rabivania. So I was trying to get to a 10,000 word goal that's actually in World Anvil. So 5,691 words have now been loaded into World Anvil. So we're doing well. James says, I love the Viscount a lot. Barons are rad too. And barony is a great word. It is a great word. I like Viscounts too. And I used count originally a long time ago as one of the other countries had counts. I was trying to have them all have different noble titles. And I think I used count and also viscount for someone else. Count is a weird one because, like, in the British nobility, there are no counts. Because, like, the word count was a word that the English and later British would use for a foreign noble of equivalent rank to a British earl. But in the British peerage, there are viscounts. What about the word duke? I like the words duke and duchess. Yeah, and I realized that, hey, we'll see you later, Jay. Yeah, we're about to wrap up here. See you later, Jay. The Last Phoenix says, what about the word duke? I like the words duke and duchess. I like duchess as well. Yeah, I realized that just from the world building perspective, I needed to add some additional material and layers to the Rabivanian nobility, which is why I also have this variation in the barons, that some barons are marcher lords and what they can do. And then you've got the barons, and then you've got the arch barons, which are the most important nobles in the interior of the kingdom. But I needed I needed a little bit more complexity, and so I have added dukes. Like, I'll probably get to that when in the expanded material that's more than just our world primer here. But I'm using, duke comes from dux, or dux, which is the Latin for the war leader, right? So I was going to say that so is dukedom, Jay. Duchy and dukedom. So I wanted to carry that over. So the idea that the Rabivanian dukes are war leaders. So they're going to be something like, a duke will be declared for a foreign area. That's where a war is currently going on. So the dukes have a lot of authority because they're one of the highest ranking. I'm thinking that they are basically just underneath the archbarons. They're kind of equivalent to an archbaron, but the archbarons are internal to Rabivania, whereas a duke is something that in a foreign area that's technically outside of Rabivania, like proper interior Rabivania. A duke will be the one who is declared over there and leads that area. I didn't say all that very well. But anyway, roughly equivalent to the archbarons, except for external to Rabivania proper. I think is how it's going to go. All right, everybody. I have really enjoyed it this morning. I have got some things I have got to do. Not fun stuff, but that stuff I've got to sit down and do in order to knock out, in order to get back to fun stuff. I hope that everyone else has enjoyed this. I always enjoy our time together. I hope that everybody goes and is productive today and also creative. Basically, hey, grind on, everybody. Later.